Welcome back to God's Autobiography. My name would be Stephen French, and this title is controversial, or I guess it's expected to be. I kind of have an issue with people drawing conclusions based on their own bias, which we all have and we all do, but then like steadfastly sticking to that preconceived notion, as if the context of what you're analyzing doesn't matter. So it's really easy to see this title, to form an opinion that may be valid, may be correct, but then ignore the context within and not allow yourself to see another perspective, to see the same thing from a different angle. So that's kind of what I want to do here, because this title is what I believe to be somewhat accurate, but I also believe to be harmless, to be, it doesn't have to have any negative connotation to it. It doesn't mean anything bad at all. It is just a phrase of an analysis that could actually be correct. Just kind of like how the word ignorant isn't inherently an insult. It's not a negative quality. It just kind of means to not know, to be without the knowledge. That's why using the word uninitiated often sounds better when it means almost the same exact thing. So let's kind of get into it. Being gay is a defect in the human genetic code. That is, at least at this point in my life, my belief. Part of the reason I like to record these is I would like to, maybe in 20 years, come back and see if my beliefs have changed. But before we move into why I think this, we're gonna kind of go over the reality that I don't think being gay is wrong in any way. I have no negative opinions towards gay people. Through a lot of my life, people have thought I was gay, which I think is a bit peculiar and kind of frustrating. Not that it would be bad to be gay, it's just frustrating for someone to tell you something that you're, or to say that you are something that you're not. And it doesn't matter what that thing is. Like if I say, oh, I am this, and you say, no, you're not, you're this, that's frustrating every time. My own, like several members of my family think I'm gay, and I'm not. And that's frustrating, because for them to say that I'm gay means to say that all of my relationships with females have been lies to myself and to others. For every time that I've said that I'm straight, not that I go around chanting it, but any time that I even think that I'm straight, I'm lying to myself, and that's fucking frustrating, because how dare you think you know more about me, especially when I'm telling you about me. But that aside, that's why it doesn't matter. It's just a variable that we picked, could have been any. But why do I think that it is a defect in the genetic code? That comes down to kind of what I've been listening through more intelligent people than myself, many evolutionary biologists. The Weinstein brothers have talked about this a lot, and it's been, I don't know, it's fascinating as fuck. So some species can change their sex. Lizards have been impressive with this in particular. A male can actually change its sex to be a female in order to be able to reproduce. Say there are not enough females in that little lizard colony, not that they colonize. Or some species of, I believe lizards as well, can actually become asexual. If they are met with any circumstances that don't allow them to reproduce, they can become asexual and they can reproduce by themselves, and they can further the progress of their species. That is kind of the benefit of some sort of homosexuality. They're like when you're capable of doing this. Now, humans are born ideally man or woman. That is, if there were no genetic defects, you would come out with XX or XY. You would come out as male or female, so you could reproduce. Genetic code doesn't have any emotion, no feelings. It just wants to make something that can make more of itself better so it can survive. It's just survival tactics. Now, since we are a species that cannot change our reproductive sex, gender is a whole different topic that I'd like to make a video on. We cannot. If all the women died, the species would die, because men cannot become women to have a baby. Same. If all the men die, women can't fill that gap either. They might have it better off because they could more easily extract the dead men's sperm and then keep going from there. So women win in that sense. But we can't change it. There's nothing we can do. So when somebody is gay, you can either believe that it is something that they've chosen they want to be, or something that their genetic code has kind of predisposed them to. I'm a fan of the latter. I don't think that it's just a choice. Some people are interested in what they're interested in for maybe no fault or reason of their own. They just are. That's how they're programmed. How they're like nature and nurture. I don't believe one is necessarily stronger than the other, but something happened in the totality of their existence and all the existences that came before them that align in such a way that they are attracted to the same sex. And if you compare that to what would happen in an ideal situation of genetic code spreading and replicating itself, there would be no benefit to a species to produce something that can't produce more of said species. Now, there's, I guess, more sociological ways that they can contribute to make the species better, but I don't think the genetic code, it's not that there's much of a foresight, but there's a plan, and I don't think that the nurture side is as much of the genetic code's plan. Now, I mean this in the sense that being gay is a defect in the same way that being born infertile is a defect. That says absolutely nothing about the character of the individual who has that condition. If someone is born and they are a woman who cannot have a child, that is a flaw in their genetic code. And there should be no insult taken by that. You can't do what your body would have been able to do in a more ideal condition. But you're still a person. You're still a sovereign individual, and your life is inherently meaningful. That I see no issue with making that statement. And I see no issue with making that same statement for homosexuality, or any feature or ability or characteristic, whatever you want to call it, that does not directly promote the betterment or survival or reproduction of the species. It is a defect of the code. You are a broken code that could actually end up being something better for society, because again, you can bring some more societal changes upon the world. As far as like the homosexuals that I know, they seem to be more empathetic. I imagine that's kind of true for the most part with anyone who's kind of tossed into any group that gets ridiculed. They become a little bit more empathetic because they know what it feels like. The only reason we know how to hurt things is because we know how to be hurt. So there's a place for them. And I think it's fucking retarded to judge somebody based on something that they can't control, something arbitrary. And I do consider skin color to be arbitrary because it's absolutely out of your control. And I think it's just so goddamn stupid to say, hey, you are this for no reason of your own. I hate you for it. So no, that's not what I'm saying here. I'm not saying that being a bit gay is bad. I'm making a deliberately controversial statement because I believe it to be true. And I don't think truth and emotion need to always go together. They often do. There's often a place. Here is not it. I'd love to know what you think about it. This is just a little thought that goes through my brain. I talked to my brother about it a while back, and he goes, ooh, I don't know if people are going to like that. And that's kind of the point, because I don't think you need to like it. I want you to hear it. And I would like to know what I think about this later. I don't imagine it changing, because I don't imagine, if it were to change, then I were to adopt a mentality that says there is something wrong with being gay. And I don't think that's true. I just think that being gay is the something wrong. Fuck, it's hard to put into words, but I think I did my best. Good on you for whatever choices you make in life. Good on you for whatever choices you don't have the power to make in life. Don't harm anyone else, and you've got approval from the majority of people, especially here in Western societies. But understand that facts don't have feelings. That's my bit. My name's Stephen Gregory the French, and I'm gonna go inside because it's hot as bones in Arizona. Peace.